Alright, the first thing I would like to say before I start is that I'm making this video without any takes. I'm not, rehearsing my lines or anything. I'm just going for it right away. So if I repeat myself or sound like an idiot, then I'm sorry, but bear with me. And, I want to do that so it has the most authenticity to it. But I really wanted to, there's not a lot of people on YouTube that just openly talk about steroid use, unfiltered, don't try to give any sort of bias or, avoid like withholding. Everybody withholds some kind of information because, when it comes to steroids, there's a lot of embarrassing things that people don't tell anybody. And on the surface, young kids or people that are curious about steroid use, all they see is the good parts and they're like, oh, well, it must be great. And, I want to just talk about, as you can see from the title of this video, the main topic, which is steroids, are they worth it? And I'm going to give you my honest opinion, and I'm going to put up some pictures, of my before and after, just so you guys can get an idea of just how much of a transformation I made within a year. And first things first is, you have to question just exactly why you feel the need to get into it. And for me, to be completely honest, the reason why I got into it is strictly for self-conscious reasons. I got tired of people saying that I look small, that, I wasn't big enough, and it was just all these things that are going in my head where it's like, I want to be a monster, I want to be big, I don't care what I have to do, just I want to be big. And, the connection came along, and I was able to get them. And, when I first started, the whole needle thing and all that was really scary, of course. And it took a lot of willpower to be like, I'm going to do this, because I didn't have anybody to do shots for me. I had to sit there and turn around and, put it in there, and it's like a fucking cow tranquilizer, or how they, supposedly that's how they give cows antibiotics. Just go to a feed store and say, hey, I need 22 gauge needles in case you decide that you want to. That's the way you do it. And, I really noticed, like, the very first thing that happened to me was within about a week, I woke up one morning and my chest, my shoulders, my back, everything was just covered in acne. And they weren't little white heads or anything. It was just, like, connect the dot acne, just periodically spread evenly everywhere. And my skin was kind of like sensitive to the touch, and I was like, what the fuck? Because it was just one day no acne, and then the next day just swarms of it. And it was really fucking scary to me. I didn't know if I got like a bad batch or whatever, but come to learn that what causes the acne is an intense spike in your levels of testosterone, and but I didn't know these things at the time. And so right after the acne set in, I really noticed the strength coming along. I would just sit there and be squeezing my muscles and feeling them and being like, I feel so much more solid. And when I would go to the gym, obviously, the pump is a lot better, but the thing that made the most dramatic difference to me was it did not matter how hard I hit it in the gym. No matter if I focused on one body group the whole time, I would wake up the next day and it reminds me of the movie Groundhog Day, with Bill Murray, where he wakes up and he has no idea what the fuck happened the next day, no matter, or he remembers, but he is fine. He's like completely untouched. And that's how it was for me. It's like I could work out the same fucking body group every day for weeks on end and it didn't even matter. And, unfortunately I got some stretch marks. That was one of the biggest things that really has me upset, just because I always had a really small chest, and even still it's not my best feature, but I was just like chest day, bench, bench, bench. And it grew, obviously, but I grew so fast that my skin couldn't keep up. And, the biggest thing I want people to understand about juicing is that what goes up must come down. The higher your highs are, the lower your lows are. It's just common sense in life, and you really have to take into account, the biggest question is, how long do I plan on doing this? And a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm going to run a few cycles and, maybe a cycle or two or just once a year. And see how many gains I make and just try to maintain from there. Well, let me tell you that I want you to experience what it's like to be, on your peak of a cycle and just going crazy and making gains and feeling good and confident all the time, and women wanting you because you just feel like bitches ain't shit, and like women are attracted to that attitude for some reason. And once you get off, I'm post-cycle right now, and I've lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I shit you not. I'm just shredding all my water weight. I was 210, I'm 198 right now at 6'3", which really isn't that big, but I'm just lean. And it's very, very difficult to permanently come off steroids. I've been off for a little over a month now, and I can't wait to get back on, honestly. And that's how steroids is a mentality. That's what steroids are. When you take them, your mentality completely warps. You go from going to the gym to, like, hey, I want to look a little better, to gym is life. No, ain't nothing getting in my way of working out today. I don't give a fuck. My mom can kiss my ass. My whoever can kiss my ass. And that's what it does. It makes working out a life or death situation. And it's an extreme. Now, obviously, I'm very, very happy with the results. And I know that the way I look now, it would have taken me probably 3 or 4 years to look like if I was lucky. And I probably would have given up, honestly. Because I'm somebody to where if I don't see the results fairly quickly, I'm just like, this isn't worth my time, whatever. And, this is just me being completely honest, guys, that I got into steroids for all the wrong reasons. And I'm really, it's funny because when you're post-cycle and you get the estrogen levels going up and you start thinking about shit and being in your own head, you really start to think about all the poor reasons that I believed in the things that I believed in while I was on steroids. When you're full in your cycle, you just think everything is to your advantage and like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and you feel like the world is your oyster and you can just accomplish anything you want. But in the process, it makes you look like a fucking douchebag. That's why people usually think that people that are on steroids act like douchebags, because you just have this overwhelmingly powerful sense of well-being and self-confidence that it just radiates so heavily that you can't help but feel like you can do anything and everything. And on the surface it looks like everybody's just jealous of you and they're jealous of your determination and they can't do what you do. And maybe a little bit of that is true, but the reality of it is like when you're full cycle, you don't realize how much of a fucking asshole you are. Like, seriously. At work, I'd be blowing up on people all the time. And I might have been right about what I was mad about. But that's one of the biggest lessons in life, is like, you don't have to be right all the time. And like, that was another thing I noticed when I was juicing, was I needed to be right about fucking everything. There was no staying out of battles or I'm going to stay out of this one. If there was drama at work, like I was knee deep in that shit. If there was something going on, I had to be involved. It's crazy. It made me feel like I was fucking 13 again or something. And, that's the thing, is there's so much more that meets the eye when it comes to juicing that, I'll answer anybody's personal questions. I won't help you find them. I was helping people find SARMs for a little while, and I was like, what am I doing? This shit's going to eventually become illegal, and they're going to be after me or whatever. So I took it off my video, my most popular video that has almost 5,000 views, and I took it off the video saying that I would help people. Email me. I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'll give you any advice that you could possibly ask me, except where to get them. That's about it. And I say that because I don't want to have any contribution towards helping anybody else find steroids, probably ever. I used to be not like a steroid drug dealer, but I would point people in the right directions. And, one of my friends told me that he was feeling borderline suicidal, and he hadn't had like any suicidal thoughts in the past until, he started doing steroids. He was like, my ups are really high and I feel confident, but when I get upset, it's just so overwhelming that it like breaks me down. And that's the thing is if you're not taking steroids, you're like right here. And when you're upset, you go down to here. And when you're happy, you go up to here. With steroids, it's like you're here all the time. And then when you get upset, you go down to here. There's just no middle ground or calmness to it. And it's really dangerous. Like, you really have to look at it and be like, do I have a history of depression? Do I tend to get really mad at people? Do I, have whatever specific problem? Did you have, gyno when you were a younger kid? Luckily, I avoided it, thank God. I'd probably take a long walk off a short bridge if I got gyno. But, that's just those questions. You got to have that checklist, because obviously, and I took testosterone. That's all I took. I just ran test anaphate, and I did about 400 to 500 milligrams a week, which really isn't that crazy. So, that's the thing, man, is you really, really, really have to sit down and think about it. Don't get me wrong, steroids will get you swole as fuck, but why is that so important to you? You got to ask yourself, are you trying to make a career out of it, or are you like me and you strictly did it just so you can get bigger? And really, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to post some pictures of me before and after.